Hello all, welcome back. Today's video is about the MBRU because it has a released timeline in their website of how it's supposed to happen this time. Because after the MBRU happens, you have several other steps to get into the residency program. So this is to make you aware of the timeline and the documents that you need to have made prior so that you avoid any last minute hassle and the panic and the anxiety that follows. So let's make sure that you're on the timeline, and I'll show you what is on their website. Go to the MBRU website. This is what they've given as their timeline. So the website is mbru.ac.ae. In the graduate medical education, here you will have the timeline for 26-27, and the application opens at January 26th. That means by then you can start creating your profile in MBRU. You can take a sneak peek, see what all documents are needed, so that even if you're taking an exam in March, you are avoiding that last minute hassle. So you have everything ready beforehand. You can maybe upload all the other documents except for your EMREE in case you're taking it at a later date, so that they have given you enough time, probably from January 26th until March 27. That means it's a long 2 months for you to complete applying to the residency program in MBRU. But once March 27 hits, you can no longer create a new profile and you can no longer upload any new documents. So make sure that you're filling in all the details required for the application beforehand. And in case you're taking MBRU at a later date, you can fill that later, but make sure you have all the other things ready prior to your last date. Then you have the next step after MBRU, which is the multiple mini interview, which happens, the notification comes in April 21st and it happens from May 1st to 3rd. Now, one thing very important with multiple mini interviews is that you have to be present in UAE to give your multiple mini interview. It's usually happening in the Mohammed Bin Rashid University here in Dubai. So you will have to make arrangements to be here if you are getting selected. So April 21st, when you get the notification, you should be in a position to come to UAE. So, make sure you have your visa and everything ready by then. May 15, you'll have a notification for the specialty interview because that is the third step. So first you have the MBRU, then you have multiple mini interview. Once you're getting selected, out of the multiple mini interview, you'll have the specialty interview. So you are applying for 2 specialties as option 1 and option 2. If they select you for option 1 or option 2 or even both, you will be taken to a specialty interview. Now sometimes they give you options for online interview for specialty interviews, so that may not be a problem. So May 22 to 23 is when the specialty interviews are happening. And June 29, that is by the end of June, you will have an idea of whether you get matched into MBRU. Now the timeline for other universities may be different. It can be even prolonged because MBRU is by far the more structured and one with the strict timelines and all. So MBRU will be out by the end of June. So first week of July, you will have conditional admissions offers. That means if somebody says selected to more than one university, you will be given a choice to choose one among them, and then you have to make a final choice of your own. And September 28th is when the courses are commencing. Now this is regarding the timeline. Let's go to the criteria and what are the documents that are required. I have talked about this, I think, in the previous videos, but I'll give you a very brief idea of what all you need to be having ready in your hand. So going to the academic criteria, you need to have a bachelor's degree from the WHO listed organizations. You can go to the website and see if your college is listed under the WHO directory of approved health institutions. Then you have to have your internship, that has to be 1 year. Then typically the candidate should be within 5 years of graduating from medical or dental school. Now this is given in their website. Now some people still ask, is it possible to get selected after 5 years of being graduated from medical school? Definitely no idea, because they have clearly mentioned this out in their website. So, if you have certain other things that make you an outstanding candidate, maybe they do select. But they have explicitly mentioned this in their website. And typically they should not have been out of clinical practice for more than 24 months at any point. That is, straight 2 years you should not be out of your clinical practice. Then you have to pass an exam like EMREE or even Saudi medical licensing exam. So even SMLE pass students are applying for EMREE. So that adds to the already increasing competition here in UAE. That is why we have more applicants compared to 2024. This year we have more applicants, and the statistics are already given in the website. I'll show you that later. And then you have to have your ECE. Now for ECE, I've clearly done a separate video for ECE. You can go and watch that, because that is an entirely different process and it takes some time, it takes money. So you have to know the process prior, and you have to do it in advance so that you are avoiding all the struggle. And then the EMREE, a passing score for one cycle, is considered a first attempt, irrespective of the candidate's result in prior cycle. So say for example, you have done your EMREE in past year, whatever score you have gotten, you can forget that. In this cycle, if you are getting a good score in the first attempt, that will be taken as your first attempt, because EMREE score is calculated based on your number of attempts, your percentage and your percentile. It's not just the score alone, right? But you are having a passing score in the subsequent attempts, because you are allowed 3 attempts per cycle. And if you are having more than 1 attempt, that will reflect in your score. Some score will be deducted from your total EMREE, because it's going to be, they're going to take 35% of your EMREE score. Okay, so they are going to make some calculations based on the number of attempts, percentage and percentile. So make sure you are giving your first and best attempt in the cycle. And candidates will join as full-time trainees. Combining more than 1 postgraduate programs will not be permitted. That is very well understood. And enrollment is subject to successfully completing the Dubai Health Authority licensing process. That means after you complete your exam, your multiple mini interview, specialty interview are selected for the program, you will have to undergo the licensing process. And for that, you need to have your data flow and equivalency and attestation done, which we'll talk about later. For the application, these are the academic documents needed: your degree certificate, your internship certificate, your ECE. Along with that, you will need your transcript as well. Then let's come to the English criteria. For English, you need either IELTS or TOEFL or MSAT. And for each, you have different score criteria. For IELTS, it's an overall score of 6. TOEFL, it's a minimum of 80. And MSAT, it's achievement of 1525 or above. Now, if they've also mentioned this, that the candidates can be exempted from the certificate validity requirement, subject to providing, along with the English certificate, a letter from the university confirming that the medium of instruction was English. Because some people might have an IELTS score, say, more than 2 years, because the certificate of IELTS is valid for 2 years. So they've included this criteria in their website. Okay, now let's come to the portfolio. Now this is another part which you can be unaware when you're starting off in the EMREE journey. You will think that EMREE score is all that matters, but that's not the truth. And some people are also very much overwhelmed about their GPA. But the fact is, at this point, you may not be able to do anything about your GPA. because that is done and dusted. Your MBBS is done. You are not able to, even increase 1 point from your GPA. So you can convert that to ECE. In ECE, it will be given as a 4 by, out of 4 score based on your standard of education in comparison to US. You might as well get a score of 4. So that in the MBRU is taken as 35% itself for GPA. So if you're getting a score of ECE 4, you will get 35 marks for the GPA. So that is not something that you're worried about at this point. At this point, the most important is that you have a high EMREE score in your first attempt and you have a good portfolio. So what are the things that they look into your portfolio? Because you can't have so many random things and expect them to, take you. They have given specific things in their website that they are looking for. So you need to polish your portfolio to make sure that you're fitting into their standards. So one is a research activity. And for that also they have given examples, the validity requirements, what are the acceptable documents and unacceptable submissions entirely in their website. So you can just see an example here. You can write a research proposal. You can be a part of research activity where you're collecting or analyzing the data, where you're writing a manuscript or conducting a case study. And the requirements are, it should be after entering the medical or dental school, and the date must be clearly indicated. And the acceptable documents are a supervisor's letter, a valid IRB approval letter or a supervisor letter, and the candidate's full name must be clearly stated in that letter, and all documents must include a signature and institutional stamp to be issued on official letterhead. Okay, what are the unacceptable submissions? Narrative reviews, conference proceedings, abstracts, theses or dissertations, research proposals without IRB approval or supervisor letter, and handwritten documents. Okay, so they've clearly mentioned what they're looking for and what they are not expecting from you. So if you are giving anything else and expecting that score to come out, it will not happen, because portfolio definitely gets scrutinized before giving you a final score out of 30, and you can you can appeal one time, stating what is your reason to appeal and why do you think that needs a score. But if you are not meeting the standards they have clearly stated in the website, do not expect to get a score for this, because for research activities you are offered a score of 4. Now for publications you are offered a score of 6. So make sure you have some publications in hand. It has to be in a peer-reviewed journal, and you have to provide a valid link to that. Okay. And journal website must clearly indicate its peer review status, and candidate's name must be clearly listed among the authors. Publication may be same as the research activity entry also. So for one research, for participation you get 4 points, for publication you get 10 points. That is why research activity is at most important while applying, especially at MBRU, because they are having an extensive and an elaborate system of scoring and shortlisting the candidates. So it becomes a little bit more transparent compared to the other universities. So, and you have a chance to, prove your worth. So make sure that you have at least one research publication. Now unacceptable submissions again given: abstracts without a full manuscript, draft or unpublished manuscript, thesis, withdrawn publications, conference proceedings, publications not verifiable on the original website, and handwritten documents. These are all not acceptable. Now there are other things. Presentations at a scientific event can get you a score of 4. Again, you have the examples, like it can be a symposia, poster presentation, a presentation at conference, workshops. Okay, and what are the unacceptable things? It has to be your attendance or participation only certificate will not be valid. You have to basically present the case. Certificate missing the presentation title, handwritten documents, they are all not possible. Now again, that has 4 score. Okay, your the symposium activity has 4 score. Next is voluntary, social, or community activities. They have again given examples like organizing or speaking or supporting health campaigns, participation in health awareness event. Now the certificate must be printed, and it has to have your name and date and the institution or the department that is offering you the certificate. Everything has to be mentioned. Okay. Okay, that is one thing. And unacceptable things are again volunteering related to organizing scientific events, sports activities, non-health related volunteering. Handwritten documents are all not acceptable. So everything has to be in a certificate format. It has to be printed, every document that you're giving. Then skill enhancement courses like your ACLS, BLS, PALS, then POCUS certifications, research, leadership and quality improvement courses. Online courses are also acceptable, but your exam preparatory course certifications, your certificate for entrance exams like USMLE, PLAB, other exams that you might have set, that they are all not acceptable. Again, those things get you volunteering activity, the preparatory, the skill enhancement courses, everything gets you 2 scores. And you can, they provide, I think, 2 options for, so you can have 2 scores for BLS, 2 scores for ACLS. Then academic awards, that is your Dean Award, Best Research Award, Best Presentation, Certificate of Merit or Excellence, and graduation honors like merit, excellence, distinction, everything. That again has a score of 4. But this is something that you should have gotten, a bit earlier. I don't know if at some point, if at this point you're not working, maybe you don't have a chance to have this academic award. This is something that you get during your med school, right? So if you have, well and good, but if you don't have, don't worry, you have other options. You have all the other portfolio criteria to meet. Okay. Unacceptable submissions are your photos of trophies, medals, plaques and physical awards, and email notifications or informal confirmations. Recommendation letters, handwritten documents are not acceptable. Then there is academic, clinical and extracurricular experience like your clinical attachment, summer placement, observerships, teaching or pure tutoring, membership in university councils, academic health related clubs, research assistant experience, etc. Again, unacceptable are handwritten documents. Now this also carries 2 scores. So it's a total of 30 scores for your portfolio. For that, 10 marks is for your research, 4 for your research activity participation, 6 for publication, and 4 for Dean Award, 4 for your symposium. That makes it 18. And then rest 12 will be for your clinical attachment, your extracurricular courses that you've done, and volunteering activities. So this is regarding portfolio, and it is very important that you have something and you make arrangements to make sure that you have all the certificates in hand, because you might have participated for various volunteering activities, might have done various courses, but if at all you don't have that certificate to prove, it might be difficult for you to get the score. So make sure you're reaching out to the department or your university or your college and asking them for a printed certificate with your name, date, and their institution's name or department's name and their signature and seal, because that is a proper certificate that you need to have in order to get that score. So those are the things that you need to have. Again, they have even other identification documents. You need to have your photo, passport copy, Emirates ID if applicable, and residency permit again if applicable. Academic documents, we have pretty much seen this. We should have a degree certificate, a transcript, internship certificate, ECE, IELTS, and recommendations letters. And now this is important. Recommendation letter should not be more than dated more than not more than 1 year, and it should be for your preference 1 and preference 2. That means if you're giving 2 specialties as your interest, as preference 1 and preference 2, you need to have 2 recommendation letter to prove that someone is recommending you to that particular department, stating your involvement in that department, your interests in something like that. You need to have a personal statement. Personal statement is something that you write on your own, making sure that you're highlighting all your past achievements, you're highlighting your goals as to what you're looking forward from that department or from that specialty under that training, and where you're right now and what makes you capable and stand out among the applicants for that residency program. Then you need to have an extensive and excellent curriculum vitae. I've done another video on how to make a good CV. I've added almost all the things that can go into your CV apart from your portfolio. So you might think, what does a CV will add other than your portfolio? CV is going to be a culmination of everything that you've put into your portfolio, you have put into your application, and much more. Because there are so many things like your other exams, like for example, if you have sat for a USMLE, that can't go into your portfolio because that will not add any score to it, but you still can put it in your CV because you have done effort into that, and that will be seen, right? So whatever you have done, whatever you think that can go into a CV, that can go into a CV. You can go watch that video. Now, licenses, again, EMREE and your valid professional license. Portfolio, this again is the same thing. Okay, I think I have talked enough about this. Now, selection process, I think you know about this. This is going to be the whole process of how you're going to get selected, especially at MBRU. As I told, MBRU is the one with the extensive framework and a very strict and beautiful timeline already printed on their website, and everything is almost transparent, so that it becomes easier for you to navigate through. So how you're going to get selected? First step, of course, is to give your exam, your EMREE. So your EMREE score will be taken up to calculate a shortlisting score. Now, shortlisting score does not include your EMREE score alone. The shortlisting 50% includes three things. One is your EMREE, which takes up 35% of the shortlisting score. 35% goes for your GPA. Okay, so you can convert your GPA to ECE and they will convert automatically to that to a 35% score. Then you have portfolio. Portfolio has 30%. Okay, so 35, 35, 30. So that makes up 100%. From that 100%, they'll take 50% score, and you will be given a shortlisting score out of 100. It will be available at the time your portfolio gets approved, and you'll have a final score out of 100. So you will have an awareness of where you're standing among the applicants. So from the shortlisting score, by using the shortlisting score, you will be called up for MMI. That is the next step, which is multiple mini interview. Now, this MMI will take up 30% of your, overall process that is happening fast forward from EMREE. So from EMREE, you will be taken up for shortlisting. Shortlisting will have a score out of 100. From that 100, they'll take up the 50%. Then you will be given a chance to appear for MMI. From MMI, they'll take a score of 30%. If you are screened from MMI for the next step, that is specialty interview, that will take up 20% of your overall score. So that again adds up to 100%, and then you will be chosen for the specialty that of your choice, maybe your first preference or your second preference, based on how you perform in your MMI and your specialty interviews. So this is pretty much the process. It is quite elaborate, quite extensive, and quite long compared to what we have back in India and all. In India, it's just one exam. You sit for the exam, you get a rank, and you choose the specialty based on your rank. Here, the process is even more elaborate, and that is why every step counts. Your GPA counts, your EMREE counts, your portfolio counts, your MMI counts, and your specialty interview counts. So you can't falter in any of this step. You have to be your 100%, give your 100% in every step possible. Maybe again, as I told about GPA, you can't do much, but EMREE, before giving your attempt, make sure you're at your 100%. And before filling your portfolio, make sure you have everything ready, everything in the format that they have asked. And that is pretty much it. I think this is how the MBRU expect you to fill in your application. Once the site opens, I'll give you an extensive step of how to fill in the details and everything, but I have done that with the past year. I don't know if something else will change this year. We'll see if anything changes when the time comes. By then, all the best for your exams. Again, EMREE dates have been open. You can apply for the first 3 dates until now, I think. This 21st exam, I think the last date for application, if I remember, was 17. Correct me if I'm wrong. And you can apply for the Jan 4 and Jan 18. They are also open. The first 3 dates are already open. If you go into the FMHS MEV website, you can see the first 3 slots open. In the site, they have given the metrics of how many number of seats are left available for application. So make sure your slots are booked early on enough, so that you're one step closer to your EMREE pathway. So that's all. Thank you so much. If you have any queries, comments and suggestions, please comment down below. Thank you. We'll come up with more videos for EMREE.